This episode is produced by Pet Fox Studios. Pet Fox Studios is a recording studio in Morris, Minnesota. Visit petfoxstudios.com for more information. Welcome to the Roasted Christian Podcast.
Dun,
I'm
dun, dun.
Bobby.
I'm John. Here at the Roasted Christian, we like our ideas the way we like our coffee. Roasted.
All right. Episode Cinco? 5?
Yes.
Cinco.
Sank. That's how the Frenchies say it.
Is sank?
Sank.
We should learn things in other languages.
C-I-N-Q. Sank. Go figure.
Oh. Yeah, so episode 5, thanks for everyone who's listening. We really appreciate it. We've had a lot of our friends listeing in and giving us feedback, and it's been really fun.
Some of our former friends who listened and are no longer our friends.
I've been having a lot of fun with it. One thing I've actually, after even just doing 4 episodes so far, is I have a much higher respect for people who do this and are in the public eye and making comments and throwing things out there.
Yep.
Because, boy, do people just take whatever you say and either spin it their own direction, or they only heard parts of it or really grab parts of it, and they make some judgment calls based on what you say.
Well, and none of it is our fault, right?
Yeah,
because
100%
we always
not our
communicate perfectly all the time.
I've said everything I've always wanted to say in perfect detail in the 45-minute segments that we've had.
But yeah, to be honest, like thinking about starting a podcast and going through with this was like, yeah, okay, fine. Like it's a little extra time, but we can make it happen. The guys who've been doing these podcasts for years on a regular basis, props to you guys.
Yeah,
because
so
it is more work than I thought.
Yeah, this is hard. And coming up with ideas and things to talk about is hard. And receiving feedback is hard still. As much as we want the feedback. And I always am going to want the feedback because part of the point of this is to challenge our ideas and challenge our thinking. So not only us to challenge you, but you to come back and challenge us. I'm totally cool with that. I don't want them to stop. But I definitely have an appreciation for more people who are out in the public eye making comments and how things can either be twisted or said or used in ways they never intended. So my sincerest apologies to all those in the public eye who I have criticized, which is ironic because this show is about criticizing things and people who say things in the public eye, probably. Not all things, but just we like to roast ideas generally, but there's going to be people a time or two that we roast.
So that said, we do want to clarify some points. We've had 4 episodes now where we've said some highly controversial things and maybe have not said them well.
Yeah. Or better. I mean, they could be said better or even more complete. Oftentimes, we don't think of everything in the episode. So we come out, just so you know, we come up with an outline of what we want to talk about, but we do want to still have some of that, extemporaneously be able to communicate?
Yep.
Off the cuff a little bit.
Okay, and like for instance, I hadn't actually heard Meghan Trainor's song.
Okay, so the Meghan Trainor thing.
Yeah.
Go.
So you were roasting Meghan Trainor, and I was like, "Yeah, she's horrible. She's horrible. Look at those words. She's horrible." And then I actually heard the song, and we had a listener give comment to this too. When you hear the song, her song says, "If I was you, I'd want to be me too." And isn't that horrible? Like everybody wants to be Meghan Trainor. No. Okay, so the song is maybe still horrible. But for different reasons. And it's not all about Meghan Trainor. It's all about whoever is singing the song. So my point is when I heard the song for the first time, it was very obvious to me that whoever is singing the song, that's who they want it to be. Like, that's who they wish they were. Like, so John, like, if I was Bobby, I would want to be John too. And the same thing goes for you. Whoever's singing it, the song is about them.
Yep.
So it's still
I've heard this
greatest
I've heard this point of view.
It's still not the greatest song ever. Like, it's still like super like, oh yeah, I'm awesome and everybody else isn't because they're not me. But it's not, Meghan Trainor's not the devil because of it. Like, I don't know that it's a betrayal of her platform, maybe.
Sure. So our internet just kind of went wacky, so I'm trying to look up the lyrics. But so I've heard this. So you're saying the I'm still going to keep roasting it because I still think I'm right. To a degree, right? The point of the song is envy. Or at least the point of the lyrics, no matter what position you take. Oh, you're the person, and if I was someone else, I would want to be me. Therefore, justifying the envy me. If you watch the music video, I'll give you a hint. It's about nobody else but Meghan Trainor.
All right. That's
And
your stance.
no-
I've said my stance.
Yeah.
Our listeners have reported in.
Yep.
We're not going to take a poll. Bobby's not going to be convinced.
I'm completely right. No. I do appreciate the feedback, and it actually got me thinking a little bit about the song more and revisiting the lyrics. But the position of, I think, is still weird of...
Yeah, it's a little
if
different.
You can it's okay for you to tell other people, yeah, you should envy me because I'm awesome. No matter who the subject is of saying that, it doesn't matter. Like Meghan Trainor is saying it, or Meghan Trainor saying you should make sure you think that if that's you, that anybody else should envy who you are.
Right.
It's like, well, that's contrary to the whole point of what you're trying to say.
But her point is that you should want to be yourself. So in that context, this song still makes sense.
And that's where I disagree. What?
Because anybody who's singing the song promotes the weird and up till now uncreated term of self-envy. So like Meghan Trainor singing about like everybody be me, but everybody else who's singing the song is saying everybody be me. So that's consistent with her message. It's still not a great message.
Yeah, the concession is I like who I am.
Yeah.
But the overall message of where I find the hypocrisy in my opinion,
because of the
hypocrisy,
video and
is because you should be satisfied with who you are. And I feel that is contrary to you also saying you, other people, should be like me. Because I'm so satisfied with who I am, because I'm so awesome, you shouldn't be satisfied with who you are. Right. You should be like me, because I love who I am.
Yeah, all right. Whatever.
We
don't want to give Meghan Trainor any more stage time than what she already has. So,
in my humble opinion, that is my opinion. All right, so
voting, Bob.
Okay,
what did you actually mean?
All right.
Because seriously, are you just a jerk?
I am. In the context of the question, which is, there are two choices you don't like. Is the option of not voting an option? What I mean by not voting is not deciding between those two things. I do not mean stay home and don't vote. This next election cycle is very important. There are all kinds of seats open in the House, Senate. I think either all of the seats are open in the Senate or the House or something like that.
I should probably know that.
I should look that up.
Because it is important.
We should get the facts on that. But it's just all elections, or at least the presidential elections, are not just only presidential elections. There's more things on the ballot. I am not saying stay home and don't go and vote because you don't like Hillary and Trump. What I'm saying is, in the context of the hypothetical situation where you only have two options and both of them you don't support, not voting for either one is an option. So in the whole context of voting in general, I support you going and voting because you should be a well-informed individual to be able to contribute to how the country's direction is going. But if you are, I think it is a valid option in things you don't like either option or don't have a knowledge about. Not voting in that specific question is a valid thing.
Well, and let it be known, all of our listeners do not have to conform to what you say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your take.
It's my opinion.
And if everybody else is like, well, I don't like Trump, but I like Hillary a lot worse, then you know what you're doing.
Yep.
I mean, whatever. So,
handguns and assault rifles, John, what did you mean?
Well, okay, so I think, and this is actually kind of classic, whenever somebody makes the argument for increased gun control, the opposition automatically goes to, so what, you want to get rid of all guns like all the time?
Yeah.
And I think what we should have started with, and we did mention it in the podcast, was that the dude who stopped that mass shooting.
Oh, in South Carolina?
Yeah. South Carolina, he had a handgun, and he just dropped the guy, and it's not a big deal. I think like 2 people died or 3 or something.
I think 3 people just got shot. I don't think anybody died.
Okay. Maybe we should have started with that, because then that would maybe clear up some of the misunderstanding. Like,
what was some of the
when
misunderstanding?
Okay, so when I talk about gun control, I'm not talking about getting rid of handguns.
Yep.
I think self-defense is something that's perfectly fine. Personally, I disagree with it, but I'm not here to, on a legal basis, try to dismiss the idea that you should be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that absolutely should happen. And we see positive instances of concealed carry all the time.
Yeah.
And the media has this way of blowing it up into this, like, well, everybody who likes pistols is obviously like a gun nut, and they need like AK-47s too. No, it's not that black and white. It's not an either or.
Yeah.
All we're talking about, and I think you would agree, is introducing some restrictions on ridiculously powerful weapons.
Yes.
So that they can't be turned against innocent civilians.
Or decreases the likelihood that would happen.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm about. I think guns for self-defense in the home, guns for sport, recreation. I mean, there are all kinds of different ideas that we could get to. There's all kinds of different technologies that we can try to implement. I don't feel like anybody's really thinking outside of the box on how to come up with creative solutions. And so we need some smart people to come up with some solutions, right? I don't know what all of them are. I don't even know where to begin. I just do know, and I feel like there's a problem. And we have enough smart people to figure out a solution, I think. All right. So one other thing to clarify. We got a few more. Abortion. So I want to make it incredibly clear. I am a pro-life individual, not a pro-choice individual. When I was presenting about the choice aspect and relating it to God and how he gives us a choice, we quickly mentioned that God also specifically says murder is wrong. I believe in 99% of the cases of abortion, it is murder. Okay, it is wrong. I can't say 100%, but I do believe in the vast majority that it is murder. So in that aspect, I think when we're talking about abortion, that it is killing an individual, and we have a pretty clear stance about what killing is, what the consequences of that are in this country. So I am not pro-choice. I am a pro-life individual in that regard. So just to make that clear. And then Florida. So I don't
even know why we have to clarify.
I know, honestly. But you do. And it's valid. I want to make it clear. I don't actually wish Florida get cut off from the United States and float into the ocean. But
But kind of you do.
No, yeah.
We don't want any people to unnecessarily perish.
Yeah.
But if that peninsula could just go
away. If it just floated and it was harder for people to get back in here, that would be great.
Stick them all in South Carolina or Alabama or something. Come on, man.
There are... Yeah, I don't know where else to go with that. I think Florida, you get a bad rap because you have a lot of stupid people there.
Yeah.
Like there are stupid people everywhere, but I don't know what's up with the news or whatever. They just do a better job reporting stupid people in Florida or something, capture more of it. But, and I have family still in Florida, and like I said, I live there too. I wish as a Christian person, I love people, and I want to see everybody come to salvation, right? So it's not like, well, those people are lost forever. Let's just get rid of them. Yeah, I'm not saying let's just get rid of them. But you guys are making it really hard, doing a lot of stupid stuff. Oh, man.
That's a place you could sing Meghan Trainor about.
Please feel the tongue-in-cheek. That is part of our little stupid description that we wrote. Like, feel that, please.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got? Okay, you have a revelation I see written down in the notes.
Revelation. This is not so much a clarification as a roast that maybe could have happened and now can't happen because of said revelation.
Okay.
So the other day, I was taking a poop, and I reached...
Deuce. How many different names can we come up for poop?
So in the middle of my deuce, I was at work, and I looked over, and there was the toilet paper, and it was set so that the toilet paper would go under. So now,
an underroll.
Heretofore, I have been religiously in over the toilet paper roll guy.
Okay.
And I have maybe harshly reacted to anybody who puts it under.
Okay.
I was like,
are you saying you are unjustly harshly reacting to people under? Are you converting to the under?
well, okay. So I've had a revelation. The thing is, over is probably still 7 out of 10 times better.
Okay.
But I realized when I was at work, because the setup with work is this: the toilet paper roll is higher than my leg.
Okay.
Okay. So it's actually easier to reach underneath because of the height of the toilet paper roll. Hence my revelation. So whenever...
What if it was lower than your leg? Wouldn't it be
Then
easy?
it would have to be over.
Oh.
Because you're pulling it up.
Okay.
And so to pull toilet paper up from underneath the roll doesn't make any sense. Like, that's just stupid. What are you doing? And that's basically what I've been roasting people all of my life for. But I never realized that if a toilet paper roll was higher, like, I don't know, pick a level, I guess, but then it's easier to pull under from under the roll. So under, over.
Okay, so I'm gonna just brainstorm some thoughts here. Okay, so in my experience, when toilet paper is over, one of the disadvantages of that is the tear. In the tearing motion, often you will get continuous roll with the tear, where if you don't tear an exact perfect like cross angle, you're gonna get more roll coming out, and you gotta like de-roll it back, right?
Oh, I've never had that problem.
You've never had the tear and a little bit more comes past it. Okay, I'm getting the head nod from Gabe.
Mine is almost
He's a violent terror like I am.
Mine is almost always a two-handed approach.
Whoa,
So
you're two-handing it?
Yeah, so I put my hand on the roll and then I tear, and I never.
But
have
your
a problem.
hand is touching another roll, another part of toilet paper that you're not going to leave. What? What are you doing that for?
To make a bunch of germs all over.
Whoa, yeah.
I just realized the error of my ways.
Yeah, don't two-hand that. That's
All right.
that's faux pas.
All
That
right.
is bathroom faux pas. Do not two-hand the toilet paper.
Lesson
That's where you get
learned.
the advantage of the under, is you get the weight of the toilet paper on top of the cut
Okay.
with the cutting action.
All right.
So you get a little bit of that advantage. The other advantage is I live in a house with 3 little girls and my wife, and the little girls, when they would go to tear, they not only just get the continuous action, it's like almost a game when they're a kid.
Oh yeah.
You get the cat mentality, brah, and the thing's like all over the place. I've come into bathrooms with the littlest one, whoever's the littlest one at the time in the house, and I'm like, "Where's the baby?" And you go in the bathroom, and they are a snowman of toilet paper all around them because they just de-rolled
My
the
favorite
roll.
part is when they take off a half a roll of toilet paper and then put it all in the toilet.
Yep. How about doing that after they've gone to the bathroom, Johnny? Have you experienced that one?
No.
I have.
We
Best way to
supervise our children, Bobby.
Best
Come
way
on.
to take care of that one, you just got to go hands in. You got to do it.
Ooh.
Why wait? Just get it done. You're going to wash your hands.
I would get a pair of tongs for that one, I think.
Just dive in, man.
No diving for me.
Elbows deep in the toilet, getting out the toilet paper.
Nope.
All right. So what are we drinking that's coffee related today? Hey-o.
Ayo. Still going back to work later on.
Some people are.
Some people are. Okay, so this is a Rwanda coffee. I got it green. I think the rest of the title is location of the area in Rwanda. I'm not sure, but the whole title is Rwanda Karongi Gitesi.
Gitesi?
Yeah.
Gitesi?
I don't know.
I don't freaking know.
I don't speak.
I can't speak.
Rwandanese. This is just going downhill fast. Okay, but it's tasty. So the description, which obviously you will get when you drink it. Floral, fruited, caramelized sugars, citrus oils, and layered sweetness.
I would definitely say this is a sweeter coffee
Complex
than I've had lately.
Bright and clean. And they recommend roasting between city to full city plus. I would say this is on the plus side of full city. So we don't
What's
get as
full city mean? You have to
full
educate
city
me.
is your
the
nut,
full city
your
is
nut
the
brown
city.
ale,
No,
nut brown ale
not brown.
equivalent.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's the sweet spot. Anything lighter than full city gets a little too bitter for me. Like the Starbucks blonde roast is like.
So this definitely is a sweeter. I can taste the citrusy elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is clean. It's not feeling like it's sticking all over my mouth still.
Yep. It
goes
actually
down really
it makes
easy.
me pucker a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think of in coffee, but if you roast it right, I think it turns out really well.
This is good, John. But okay, we're gonna be. I think either next episode or the following, we're gonna do a blind taste test with John and coffee because. John, my goal is hopefully Johnny. I think is more of a snob in the coffee arena than I am.
I might be a snob, but I'm not a connoisseur yet.
Okay, you're not a sommelier of coffee.
A what?
Sommelier.
Ooh,
you know what that is?
yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I used a big word.
Yeah, you did.
Hee.
That's one of those words I've always read and never heard.
Sommelier.
So when I hear it, it's like, wait, what is that? And then I think about how I would spell it in my brain, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I know
It's
what
that wine guy with the towel who's a snob.
Yeah.
But we're gonna. My goal is hopefully to get you liking bad coffee.
I mean, I drink Folgers at work.
And in our humble opinion.
In our opinion, that is fact. Folgers suck.
Opinion.
Yeah, you guys can sue me if you want.
All right. Opinion. Don't sue John or Bobby. Or you could sue John, just not Bobby.
Yeah.
All
But, okay, so Folgers is doable in lighter concentrations. So if
Sure.
you make really strong Folgers, it will curdle your mouth and make you fall over dead.
Yeah, opinion.
In my opinion. That's just my opinion.
That's just your opinion.
Scientifically, nothing has been proven.
There's no proof to that.
But also, in my opinion, science would back me up.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet.
But we don't know.
So if you make it lighter,
yeah.
maybe that sort of like dark honey color when you're pouring, it's doable.
Yeah.
You can make
this
Folgers
definitely,
work.
I would say, what we're drinking right now is on that spectrum of lightness that you would need to get for Folgers to taste good.
Sure. Yep.
That makes no sense to anybody who's listening, because that really didn't make sense.
Yeah, you can't see the coffee.
Okay,
right
so
now.
we're gonna do a blind test. It'll be fun.
Okay.
But we have episode's gonna be an OmniRoast.
Woohoo!
So we're gonna have a few topics. We're gonna OmniRoast, kind of like the first episode, but hopefully better and
Much
more
better.
thought out and organized than the first episode.
But probably not.
Probably not. We're gonna suck anyway. So let's get into the fresh roast. Fresh roast. John, your first topic.
So, Neil deGrasse Tyson. This man is a smart man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have anything against his intelligence.
Okay.
But I have a lot against his snobbishness.
Ooh,
his
he's a snob,
his
in your opinion?
arrogance.
Okay.
I mean, so he's a popular guy. He's like, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like the mouthpiece or spokesperson of science. Like anytime you go on YouTube and you're like, all right, what's up with the black hole? It's like, boom, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's got like this cutesy little like intro music and he tells you like whatever. And so I got on this kick for a little bit after Interstellar actually. And I watched like maybe half a dozen videos of this guy. And they were informative. Like he's smart. He knows what he's talking about. And by the end of it, I would just hated the guy. Like,
why?
He's so stuck up. Like I can't imagine what it would be like to live with him. Like you'd be like, man, the sky's blue today, and he would just be like, well, actually, the sky is blue because of all of this whatever.
Why does that
stuff."
make him stuck up?
Because he can't. That's just how he operates. He's so self-assured that it's arrogant. Like there. You would never
this is
hear
the
him
cocky
say,
versus confident.
You would never
debate
hear
in
him
an
say,
athlete, like.
correct me if I'm wrong, but he's always like, no, this is the way it is.
I'll correct you because you're wrong.
And
'cause- okay.
especially when it comes to like religion. So he's got some videos, and so maybe it's my own personal whatever, like reacting to him. But he's got some videos where he just sort of offhandedly is like, oh yeah, so spirituality is just, it's junk. Like whatever. Like it should just leave science alone. Let us do our thing. If you're into that kind of stuff, fine.
Yeah.
it's just his whole attitude is superior.
Sure.
There's no kind of, and I'm sure that's the way that he's been educated. Like if you can't prove something empirically, it just is not worth even discovering or investing time in and whatever. But to me, I don't know. I find that science sort of invokes some spiritual responses, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like looking at the cosmos and all this stuff. And for me, like thinking about his response, boiling it down to physics and like numbers and math, like it's important to, like you need math obviously to figure some of this stuff out, no question. But I think to have a response that's something other than awe is kind of lame to me. So that's one thing. The other thing is I think science is about inquiry, not confidence. Like, so science is always evolving, and like as they discover new things, it's like, oh yeah, what we knew 10 years ago it's completely wrong because we know all this stuff. And for him, anytime I see him speak, watching videos or whatever, it's always from a position of this is absolute fact and we know it. When probably 9 times out of 10, he's talking about theory, and it's well-established theory. But it's theory. Yeah. Like we can't even, empirically speaking, we can't even prove the fact that our solar system is heliocentric. We're still dealing with that theory. And
by that, when I whistled, I put my hand over my head, as in he just went way past me.
Heliocentric is the sun is in the center, all the planets go around it.
Okay.
So the math works. It's beautiful. We can observe and reason probably within 99% certainty that this is the way the universe works. Yeah. But we can't empirically prove it because we can't go out there and look at the whole thing and be like, yeah, this is it.
Sure,
so,
but okay.
To an extent, yes, you have to go off of some of these theories and treat them like facts. But when you do that to the whole broad spectrum, and it just bugs me, man. There's no room for error at all with anything he says. It drives me nuts.
Sure.
And let's not forget his ties are just outrageous.
like his neckties?
Yes, his neckties are outrageous.
I don't know too much about NDT, so I'm glad listening into John's attempt for roasting him now.
My last point.
His ties.
Part
of
it,
his ties, John.
I do want to play it up a little bit because I haven't really roasted anybody yet, I feel like. Some of mine have been like, yeah, Meghan Trainor, whatever. Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson is just, he rubs me wrong. My final point is that, okay, Interstellar. I love the movie Interstellar. Yeah. A lot of people don't like it. It's too slow or too silly or whatever.
And all those people they're just know
wrong.
Movies.
Yep. Yeah. So I loved it. I got the book, The Science of Interstellar, which was written by Kip Thorne. And he's one of maybe the top 5 theoretical physicists on the planet. And he helped make the movie. Okay. I mean, he writes this whole like 300-page book about it and whatever. And to be fair, Neil deGrasse Tyson, like he saw the movie, he tweeted a bunch of stuff about it, and he liked it a lot more than other movies like Gravity. Like he just ripped into Gravity. But Interstellar, he was like, yeah, so for some of this stuff, like it seems like it's legit and whatever. My problem is most of the internet community are more willing to take Neil deGrasse Tyson's word for it when he like just saw the movie than they are Kip Thorne's. They're not willing to say like, okay, so this really, really crazy theoretical physicist worked on the movie with them. Yeah. It's probably legit. No, they had to wait until Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted in like 140 characters like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. That's probably how a black hole works. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's legit. It's like, come on, man. So, and I think he knows it too. Like any scientific movie that comes out, like he'll just take to Twitter, and he's got tons of followers.
Is it because is part of it that we don't have very many charismatic scientists in the public eye?
Probably. So he is one of the few that will communicate well. Yeah. Like for the scientific community.
And so does the fact that you don't have the numbers of charismatic individuals in this community that you're going to maybe lean towards him just being arrogant in your opinion instead of, well, yeah, this is just a confident dude?
I don't know. Some of these things are intangible, but I will say that he rubs me wrong, and I wanted to roast him.
Okay.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Roasted.
Boom.
All right. What are we roasting? Oh, so this is pretty cool. We had a fan.
What?
It's kind of like a fan, like someone who listened.
Kind of like a fan.
Kind of like a fan. Well, you tell me. He is an individual who is not in our circle, who heard the podcast and listened to it and contacted us.
From out of state.
Out of state. Somebody we've never known. He is a great individual. Been talking with him back and forth. His name is Joel Webb. And Joel wanted to respond to our discussion on guns, our last episode, or our third episode. He wanted to roast us a little bit or get back or discuss some of the points that we made and wanted to try to counter argue some of the points that we made. And we said, hey, why don't you just record a clip and we will put it in the episode. So to be fair to Joel, he made a 9-minute response. We cut it down to a couple minutes. I sent it back to him. He said it was okay. But he's going to counter. We left in there the clip of him countering our Second Amendment discussion, specifically the amendment and what its value is today. And he made other points. And just to kind of summarize him a little bit, what he believes there is a biblical basis for Christians to carry firearms in self-defense. That was a lot of his other points that he made. And he gave different backgrounds for why he believed that in the 9 minutes. But he definitely did try to counter our Second Amendment reason why we have it, and it's pointless now. We kind of made the point, at least I did, that
it's becoming obsolete.
It's becoming obsolete because we have delegated the responsibility of the militia to the government itself, and instead of us being the militia. So he countered this. So take a listen real quick. This is Joel Webb from Michigan, and he's going to introduce himself and give his point.
Hey, Bobby and John, and listeners of The Roasted Christian. My name is Joel Webb. I'm 21 years old. I live in Michigan, and I'm actually originally from Canada. Dad's Canadian, mom's American, so I am a dual citizen. I grew up in the church. I'm actually a pastor's kid, and I'm currently at a ministerial institute in New York State studying to become a minister. I come from an evangelical Pentecostal church. We believe in the baptism of the Holy Spirit, and we believe that the Word of God is, every single word is what we follow, and we believe that to the letter. And Bobby and John asked me just to talk a couple minutes about episode 3 on guns. Just to give a little bit of background about myself, I am a conservative. I believe in conservative values, and I'm also a member of the National Rifle Association. I don't currently have it, but I will eventually be getting my carry permit to carry a legal pistol, because I do believe that defense is something that the Bible calls Christians to do. Not necessarily everybody, but I think the Bible is very positive about the carrying of weapons for defense of people. And I think that, Bobby and John made some very good points, but I feel that there are some issues with some of the conclusions they came to concerning that. Now, a couple comments to what was made about, the Second Amendment and the situation and the circumstances surrounding them. I remember, Bobby and John, you said that, during that time the founders had no vision of weapons that could fire more than one shot. And yes, the majority of weapons were single shot, muzzle loading muskets. And that was the primary weapon of the day. But in that day, they had weapons that could fire multiple bullets and multiple rounds. There's a gun called a puckle gun, and that could fire multiple rounds very rapidly. They didn't think of the future. They had the future in mind. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. They realized that there would be advancements in technology and in military warfare, and they realized that weapons would be more advanced in the future. Actually, there was a letter where somebody was writing George Washington asking if he could have cannons on his ship, and George Washington basically said, of course you can. We have the Second Amendment, of course you can. So cannons on ships, people don't need those for deer hunting, do they? But it's not about deer hunting. The Second Amendment is about defending ourselves from despot governments and tyrannical governments. and which I feel could come in the next 50 to 100 years. You know, you talked about the government that we put in place. Well, if we remember back to the 30s, Germany put Hitler into place, and then he completely turned the tables. So I don't think we should completely rely our arguments on those simple facts relating to that. I also remember you talked about, you know, back then, you know, over the years we've set up a military and put our trust in the military and such like. But, you know, the founding fathers again realized, yes, there is a military and we should have a military for defense, but, you know, the people need to be armed as well. And, you know, do I think that it would be, in the case of an armed insurrection or another revolution of some kind, would it be difficult with military, against military weapons? Of course it would be. But history has shown that, you know, basically unarmed group of guerrilla warriors or guerrilla fighters can do quite well against well-armed military force. We saw that in Afghanistan against the Soviets and Vietnam against the Americans. And even just throughout history, guerrilla forces have been very effective. So I don't think it would be a completely hopeless fight in the end.
So that was Joel Webb. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for giving us some feedback. We appreciate you taking the time to record that and send it to us, Joel. So thank you so much. And as I affectionately have heard from, or I'm going to say and have heard from, like Comedy Central's roast, we only roast the ones we love. So Joel,
Be prepared.
Be prepared for a little roasting. Here we go. Okay, so one of the things he said was, or at least that I said, was that we created the government to do the military for us when we're talking about the Second Amendment. We have delegated the responsibility of the militia to the government, right?
Yeah.
And Joel said that, well, the Germans kind of did that with Hitler. They put Hitler into control, and look how good that turned out, right? And I think the indication was if the people weren't oppressed and could have revolted, that something would have been different. But here's my counterpoint to that is it took the entire world in a war to get Hitler out of Germany.
Many years. Many years,
right? And that was in the 30s and 40s. So I don't know how you could even do that with current technology and weapons and stuff like that. Our producer Gabe said, you can fight the government without guns when they're oppressing us without guns, but if they do oppress us with guns, we lose anyway.
Right. I agree with that, but I will take up his point. I think it is important. Maybe it's just the principle of the thing, but that is the reason that the Second Amendment was there, so that the government does not have supreme authority over its citizens. Granted, if we did revolt, it would probably be a pretty short, sad revolt. Nothing doing for the good old citizen with their. I mean, like, what can we really acquire as far as arms in the market?
Yeah.
But I think it is important to keep that consideration with the Second Amendment. Is that we don't want to allow for entire control over the people, especially as far as military is involved. Like if they sent in, if we elected Trump and things were just going to pot and we wanted to rise up and he sends in the National Guard or whatever, as much as it would suck, like, we need to have the means to attack.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I am not saying get rid of the Second Amendment, and saying that it's obsolete, so get rid of it. I understand. I see the point. It needs to be there, even if what the end result is obviously ineffective.
Yeah.
The point that we have the right to bear arms, so that way, if something were to happen, is a wonderful right that we have. And I love that it exists explicitly. I do not want to see the Second Amendment, though, taken beyond its scope in a way, because it's like, listen,
the scope is pretty wide.
That's the problem.
If you take it literally,
that's what I think is. But we all obviously, I think, agree that we understand there are some limits to the Second Amendment, because citizens shouldn't have missiles and drones that can do airstrikes.
Yep.
So we obviously have put already some restrictions on a, by literal definition, unrestrictable amendment.
Yeah, and I guess that was my question for Joel, and I mean, obviously he already sent in his stuff, but my question, listening to his stance, was, do you really want absolutely zero regulation on all weapons whatsoever?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's not the case. We already have.
Yeah.
Like, you can't buy nukes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just illegal.
Yep.
But if you were, if the Second Amendment was all, and that it was the only law that governed weapons, is that really what you're putting forward? Is that, yeah, we should have access to all the same things that, I mean, any weapons of any kind, because we need to defend ourselves. That, I think, is, you're right, is taking it too far.
Governments aren't buildings anymore. You can't just take over a government by occupying the White House. It just doesn't work that way anymore.
Right.
There are some aspects of why it was also put in place that they had in mind that are kind of antiquated. But a general principle is the people should be able to defend themselves. Is there? I think it should always be there. So do I have an answer? No, but I definitely don't think saying, well, obviously we're going to be able to succeed. If people have the power, it's going to work every time. That's not the case either.
Right.
All right.
And as much as I don't want to get rid of the Second Amendment, and I think it is important, both in principle and maybe in practice, I do think it is a little bit of a different world today.
Yeah.
And that being, some of the founding fathers were proponents of regular revolution.
Yeah.
I can't remember which guy it was. Was it Jefferson, maybe? He actually published a deal that was saying, like, man, every 3 to 5 years, I think the people should revolt.
We'll look
like
that up.
That'll just, keep us healthy and keep us on track and whatever. And I'm like, dude.
And if that is the see, I didn't know that. If that's true, which I'm not doubting that you're telling history incorrectly.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah. But if it, let's say that is true, and that's is a mindset of the people who wrote this, that like revolt should be happening every 3 to 5 years, because it was every 20 years.
Was it Jefferson? Every 20.
Gabe confirms it was Jefferson in 20
that's
years.
Once a generation.
That seems a little crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But these are some of the same. What I'm saying is these are some of the same guys who put forth the Second Amendment.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, man, we need this because we need to have a revolution every 20 years. Like, wait, what?
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So, like I said, we don't want to get rid of the Second Amendment. I think the way that we treat the Second Amendment now allows for us to restrict crazy dangerous weapons.
Yep.
That was our only point.
Yep.
I think if we were unclear about that, that's what we're here for now.
Okay. The last aspect of the OmniRoast, Pokemon Go. All right. So this is difficult for me on a few levels, because on initial reaction of seeing the game and how it's impacting people, my gut feeling was, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I generally will probably take the gut feeling about anything that happens as the stupidest thing ever. That's generally my first reaction, and you got to bring me into it. I thought that about texting. I remember when I got my first text message in high school.
Bob, you're such a Luddite.
And I thought it was why would you send me a text message? Just call me. Like, I thought, why do I want to sit and read something when you could just talk to me on the phone and we could clearly communicate? Now, there's an aspect of that where I still think that, but obviously texting has its fantastic points and purposes. But Pokemon Go, gut reaction, this is dumb. Undeniably dumb. Well, maybe not so undeniably. So, as I'm watching it over the last couple weeks, there are some things I kind of like about it. One of the things I like about it is it gets people outside.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to I bet you people aren't going to like it as much when it gets winter
amount.
here.
Yeah.
So it gets people outside, exercising, walking around, and then going with groups of people and meeting new people. I saw a great Reddit post, and it said what Pokemon Go is doing, and it was an individual who took a selfie of about like 8 other people, and all diverse, different ages, different races. You could tell different economic backgrounds, But they were all unified and playing the game together, and they were all having a great time, and they all took a picture and were enjoying it. I'm like, that is super cool that it can bring total strangers together to play this game. I love the fact that it has augmented reality aspect to it. That's not it, but that's a lot of people. So John's showing me a picture of Pokemon Go.
This picture made the Daily Mail in Britain for, I'm not sure where it is. We can maybe stick the picture up in the liner notes or something.
Yeah.
But according to this article, 300 people gathered outside a Sydney building. That's where it is. There's 3 Pokestops right next to each other, and those are places where you can get items and Pokeballs and all those sorts of things. So in a popular or in a more populous area, you attract actually tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
And this last one had 300 players in the same
businesses
place playing the same game.
Businesses are going to take advantage of this. When, like,
they better.
Being next to Pokestops and being like, all right, there's 300 people here. We're going to advertise something. We're going to hand out free stuff. We're going to put on our product, whatever. But I really like the augmented reality part. I think that's a cool technology and doing that. The community aspect, those are things I like. I'm trying to think about the dislikes, and what I wrote down is it's Pokemon is the dislike, is that it just feels so juvenile to me.
So here's the weird thing. Like, I never got into Pokemon.
I never did either.
Like, so I was in elementary school when it was introduced. Like, I was 5th or 6th grade, something like that.
Okay.
And I remember, like, some of my friends and different people in class, they started bringing the card games to, like, our lunch hours and stuff. And I was like, what?
So it was a card game first.
It was a card game first. And I was never interested. Like, I thought it was super weird, and like, what's the point of the stupid cards? And like, what? There's like attacks and like, it's so cartoony.
Yeah.
So I never got into it. Never played any of the video games. But I knew about it, obviously, like a lot of my friends and stuff. This app comes out, and I download it, and instantly, I absolutely love Pokemon.
Really?
And I don't know why. But it is like they found a way to make a game that is so, I don't know what you want to call it, immersive, interactive.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous amounts of fun. I will leave the house at just strange hours of the night because I found a Pokemon on the other side of town. Like,
oh my
goodness. It's worth it, and I don't know why.
Wow.
So feel free to roast, but I'm not giving it up.
Okay, so the addiction aspect I definitely don't like. So as we came to the church building here to record this podcast, you two are outside, you and Gabe are outside talking about it and showing each other's phones, and it is a constant conversation thing. Now, there's a community aspect that I like.
People like walking all over town, and their faces are in their phones because you know they're playing Pokemon Go.
The definite dislike is the unattentiveness. People are already. We have unattentiveness with people in their phones and driving, especially. But there are people who are getting hit by cars. Yeah, walking off cliffs.
Wait, what?
There was 2 dudes who literally walked off a cliff.
I feel like this is another "you're doing it wrong" segment.
You're doing Pokemon wrong if that's it. So you know,
Ooh, I just found a drowsy.
Oh, you put that damn thing away. Because that right there is like I'm trying to have a conversation with a person and like, ooh, I'm playing the Pokemon, and
I'm listening.
Okay, so we play a card game at break at work a lot.
Yeah.
And I saw these individuals. Oh my gosh! I saw these individuals playing the game. Gabe going out, and I go out to play some catch for our break. And then one of the guys who was playing the game leaves the break room and starts walking outside to like another field, just randomly looking at his phone.
Well, yeah, you gotta catch them all.
But he left the card game. He was participating in the game, and he got up and left. And I came back and I tried to roast him, and I'm like, "What? You guys let this guy get up and Pokemon?" And everyone in the group said, "Well, yeah, he had to go get it. We totally understand."
Well, duh.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, get me out of here!"
You can't let a rare one escape, man.
That is just. Then why didn't all of them like go run out to try to go get this?
Yeah, I don't know.
I like the community aspect. I'm not going to put that away. I really like that people are getting outside and doing something.
Yeah.
But also recognize people. You are one step away from actually really interacting with people outside which is probably what you should be doing instead with your phone.
Right. You're still avoiding real world
community,
interaction.
interaction with people. Yeah, when they're like, but we really are. It's like, no, when you wave at someone, you're like, see, I did that, and you will go back to looking at your phone. That's not real interaction with people.
No, it's okay, Bobby. You just got to wait for the update to the app when you can like trade with people and like communicate with other players, and then it's fine. Like
yeah,
we
just
don't
like
have to
online
communicate.
chat rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
That's how people can communicate too with
That'll
the real
solve
world.
all of our problems.
All right, Pokemon Go, and we might have to upload a video. Gabe's one of the things I don't like. I thought all the names are stupid of the Pokemon.
They're so stupid.
So Gabe said, "Okay, why don't you rename some of these things?" And so he brought up a picture of one of them, and he's like, "Name this," and I'm like, "Flurgle," and he's like, he just starts laughing, and. So we thought maybe it would be entertaining if you and Gabe or somebody go on a Poke Walk or whatever you call it with me and show me the game, and maybe and you give me icons of these Poke creatures,
right.
and I have to name them, and we'll see if that's entertaining with me. We might put it up on our YouTube page. So
Sure.
Pokemon, you've been temporarily roasted.
Yeah.
All right, our segment for today. I think this is our first time we're doing this segment. I'm calling it the Roastmaster Award.
Kind of like Toastmaster.
Kind of like the Toastmaster, but the Roastmaster Award. Someone who's roasted someone exquisitely is a good way to put it. I'm giving the award this week to the one and only Mr. Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert at The Late Show on CBS had a bit about how Hillary Clinton is untrustworthy. We'll put a link in the description.
You guys should check it out.
It is a wonderful satire-ish / roasting of Hillary Clinton and the latest in her email scandal and the FBI investigation and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to make any comments about it. Please go watch it. It's hysterical
and savage.
It is. Yeah, as he said, he takes the gloves off. It's really funny. Really roasted her well. So go check it out. He had some one-liners in there that we can't repeat. I don't know, but he did a great job.
He does it better than we would. So go watch.
So go watch. Stephen
only like
Colbert.
3 minutes.
You have received the Roasted Christian first ever Roastmaster Award. Congratulations!
Ta-ding.
Yay! All right. This has been the 5th episode of the Roasted Christian podcast. Again, I'm Bobby.
I'm John.
Thank you guys for listening.
You're welcome.